Attraction is one thing, but respect? That's on another level. And if a woman doesn't respect you, nothing else matters. Most men don't lose a woman because they're unattractive. They lose her because she stops respecting them. You see, the moment a woman stops respecting you, she starts seeing you as disposable. She might still talk to you, she might even be friendly, but deep down, she's already checked out. She no longer sees you as a man she admires, a man she looks up to, a man she wants to follow. And this is where most guys go wrong. They try harder, they text more, they seek validation, thinking that if they just prove themselves enough, she'll start respecting them again. But that's not how this works. You don't chase respect, you command it. And the best part, you don't need money, status, or a six-pack to make this happen. You just need to communicate differently, because there are certain words, powerful words, that instantly shift the way a woman sees you. And in this video, I'm going to give you 4 phrases that, when said in the right way, will make any woman respect you instantly. These aren't tricks. They aren't gimmicks. They are expressions of high-value masculinity, the kind of masculinity that women can't help but admire. Welcome to Stoic Spirit, the channel where men learn how to master their mindset, their presence, and their relationships. If you want to become stronger, more respected, and more in control of your life, then hit that subscribe button now. Because once you start using these phrases, everything changes. Phrase 1. I respect myself too much to accept this. Picture this. You're on a date with a woman you really like. The conversation is flowing, but suddenly she interrupts you mid-sentence to check her phone. Then she makes a sarcastic comment about your job, laughing like it's no big deal. You feel it in your gut. This doesn't feel right. But instead of saying anything, you laugh it off, trying not to seem too sensitive. Later, she starts pulling away, and you have no idea why. Sound familiar? This happens to men all the time. They ignore the small signs of disrespect because they're afraid of rocking the boat. But here's the hard truth. Every time you let something slide, you teach her that it's okay to treat you that way. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And the fastest way to lose it? Accepting behavior that disrespects you. Think about it. How many times have you let something slide just to keep the peace? A woman interrupts you, talks down to you, plays games, and you brush it off like it's no big deal. You tell yourself it's just her personality, or maybe she's just having a bad day. But here's the truth. Every time you allow disrespect, you teach people that it's okay to treat you that way. Now let's be real. Society constantly tells men to be nice, to not rock the boat, to just let things go. But where does that get you? Does being overly agreeable make people respect you more? No. It makes them see you as weak. And women, whether they admit it or not, can't respect a weak man. They might like you, they might have fun with you, but deep down, they won't admire you. And without admiration, attraction fades. Most men are too afraid to call it out. They laugh it off. They try to play it cool. They think if they ignore it, it'll go away. But it doesn't. It gets worse. Because the moment she senses you're too weak to stand up for yourself, the respect is gone. She might still date you, she might still sleep with you, but deep down, she doesn't admire you. And when admiration dies, attraction isn't far behind. A high-value man, he sets a boundary. He doesn't need to get angry, he doesn't need to start a fight. He simply looks her in the eye and says, I respect myself too much to accept this. Let that sink in. How many men do you think actually say something like this? Almost none. Most guys either explode in anger, proving they're emotionally weak, or they say nothing, proving they have no backbone. But when you say this phrase, it does something powerful. First, it makes her stop. It breaks the pattern. She expected you to react emotionally or just take it. Instead, you're calm, composed, and direct. Second, it signals self-worth. Women test men all the time, not because they're cruel, but because they need to know if the man in front of them is strong. And here's the reality. If you can't stand up for yourself against her, how will you stand up for yourself in life? She wants a man who can handle challenges, not a man who folds under pressure. And third, it shifts the dynamic. Instead of you proving yourself to her, now she has to prove herself to you. She realizes she's dealing with a man who won't tolerate disrespect. And that is what separates you from every other guy she meets. Now you might be wondering, what if she gets mad? What if she pushes back? What if she says, "Wow, you're really sensitive," or "Relax, it's just a joke"? Here's what you do. Nothing. You don't explain. You don't justify. You don't start debating her. That's the trap most men fall into. They feel the need to prove why they deserve respect. But you don't need to prove anything. You set your boundary and you let it sit. And guess what? If she continues to push, if she keeps disrespecting you, then she's showing you exactly who she is. And that means it's time to walk. You don't argue, you don't beg for better treatment, you just remove yourself. Because a high-value man doesn't waste time trying to teach respect to someone who refuses to give it. So here's when to use it. Whenever a woman crosses a line, tries to manipulate you, or disrespects you in any way. And when you say it, don't explain yourself. Don't overtalk. Say it once and let the silence do the work. And watch what happens next. You'll see the way she looks at you change, the way she talks to you change. Because at that moment, she stops seeing you as just another guy, and she starts seeing you as a man she respects. Phrase 2. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to be real. Imagine this. You're sitting across from her at dinner. She leans back in her chair, crossing her arms, waiting for you to entertain her. You tell a funny story, she gives a half smile. You compliment her dress, she barely acknowledges it. But instead of pulling back, you push harder. You start over explaining yourself, trying to find the perfect thing to say. And the more effort you put in, the colder she becomes. This is where most guys fail. They think that if they just prove themselves enough, she'll finally see their value. But that's not how attraction or respect works. Every guy is trying to impress her. Fancy dinners, over-the-top compliments, texting first every time, agreeing with everything she says. And what does that get them? Nothing. Because desperation disguised as effort is still desperation. And nothing kills attraction and respect faster than a man who tries too hard. Most men think that if they just prove themselves enough, she'll finally see their value. If they take her to the nicest restaurant, if they buy her the perfect gift, if they make her laugh enough, then she'll want them. But that's not how this works. Because the moment she senses that you're trying to win her approval, you've already lost. Let's get one thing straight. Women don't respect men who seek validation. They respect men who give themselves validation. If you're constantly thinking, what should I say? How do I make her like me? Then you're already playing a losing game. Look around. The men women actually respect, they don't chase, they don't beg, they don't sit there hoping she'll see how great they are. They already know they're valuable. They show up as their authentic selves, and that's it. And that energy alone makes them 10 times more attractive than any man trying to impress her. So the next time you feel that urge to prove yourself, stop. Instead, look her in the eye and say, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to be real. Now, let's break this down. Why does this phrase work? First, it flips the power dynamic. Most guys enter an interaction thinking they need to earn her attention. They're auditioning, proving, seeking validation. But a high-value man, he never auditions. He sets the tone. When you say, I'm not here to impress you, you're making it clear you are the prize. If anything, she has to impress you. Second, it triggers scarcity. And here's a truth most men don't understand. People value what they feel they could lose. The less you seek approval, the more people respect you. And women can sense this instantly. If a man isn't trying to impress her, if he's comfortable being himself with or without her, that signals confidence at the deepest level. And confidence, that's irresistible. Third, it makes her question herself. She expected you to be like every other guy, agreeing with her, flattering her, chasing her. But now she's intrigued. Now she's wondering, wait, why isn't he trying to win me over? And that curiosity, that's the seed of attraction. And here's another layer to it. Women respect men who set emotional boundaries. Too many guys throw themselves into trying to please women without ever stopping to think, do I actually like her? Do I even respect her? Instead of wondering if you're good enough for her, ask yourself, is she good enough for you? Now, some guys will hear this and say, so should I just not put in effort at all? No, this isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about not performing. It's about showing up, as you are, without trying to mold yourself into what you think she wants. This is about holding your own frame, your life, your standards, your energy. It doesn't change just because she walked into the room. So when do you use it? Whenever she challenges you, whenever she plays hard to get, whenever she acts like she's the prize and you should be grateful to be in her presence. And when you say it with a relaxed confidence. No arrogance, no cockiness, just certainty. And then, watch her lean in. Watch her start asking you the questions. Watch her stop testing you and start respecting you. Phrase 3. I don't argue, I make decisions. Ever had one of those conversations where a woman keeps testing you? Maybe she questions your choices. Why do you always hang out with your friends so much? Or she makes a passive-aggressive remark. Wow, must be nice to not have any responsibilities. You feel the tension rising, and suddenly you're explaining yourself, defending your decisions, trying to prove that you're not a bad guy. But let me ask you, has arguing ever made a woman respect you more? No, because the moment you start defending yourself too much, you shift the power dynamic. And she knows it. Most men get sucked into pointless arguments. They over-explain, they justify, they try to prove their point, thinking that if they just say the right thing, she'll suddenly agree with them. But here's what they don't realize. Arguing isn't about logic. It's about power. And the moment you start debating back and forth, you've already lost it. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where a woman starts testing you, questioning your choices, challenging your views? Maybe she asks why you didn't text sooner. Maybe she criticizes something about your lifestyle. Maybe she picks a fight over something small just to see how you'll react. And most guys, they get defensive. They start explaining. They try to win the argument, not realizing that the more they talk, the more respect they lose. Because the truth is, women don't respect men who argue. They respect men who decide. So the next time you feel yourself getting pulled into a pointless back and forth, stop. Stay calm. Look her in the eye and say, I don't argue, I make decisions. Now let's break this down. Why does this phrase work? First, it establishes authority. Most men try to seek approval, looking for permission to stand their ground. But a high-value man? He doesn't need permission. He doesn't ask. He leads. And leadership isn't about convincing someone to follow you. It's about setting a direction and letting them decide if they want to come along. Second, it keeps your emotions in check. Arguing is an emotional reaction. It shows that you feel the need to defend yourself, to prove yourself right. But the moment you refuse to engage, you're signaling something powerful. You don't need validation. And a man who doesn't need validation, that's a man who's truly in control. Third, it makes her question herself. She expected you to react, to get frustrated, to chase her approval. Instead, you remained calm, stood firm, and walked away. Now she's left wondering, did I push too hard? Did I misjudge him? And that uncertainty? That's what shifts the power dynamic. And here's another layer. Women test men not to break them, but to see if they can handle pressure. If she challenges you and you get emotionally reactive, you've failed the test. If she sees that you can remain unshaken, now she knows she's dealing with a man who's truly grounded. Some guys hear this and think, so, should I just ignore her opinions completely? No, this isn't about dismissing her thoughts. It's about refusing to get emotionally entangled in pointless power struggles. It's about staying calm, firm, and composed, because that's what earns respect. Here's when to use it. Whenever a conversation turns into an unnecessary debate or power struggle, whenever she tries to get a reaction out of you, whenever you feel that pull to over-explain, to defend, to prove your worth. And here's what you don't do. You don't follow up. You don't text later to smooth things over. You don't come back and ask, are we good? You let it sit. Because the moment she realizes you're not seeking her approval, she'll start seeking yours. And if she's truly interested in you, she'll respect that you didn't get caught up in the drama. She'll realize you're a man who isn't shaken by small things, a man who doesn't need to argue because he knows his worth. So next time you're faced with a pointless argument, remember, you don't argue. You decide. And once you do, watch how everything changes. Watch how she starts second-guessing herself. Watch how she stops testing you and starts respecting you. Phrase 4. I walk away from what doesn't serve me. Think about a time when you knew a relationship was draining you. She was hot and cold. One day loving, the next day distant. She made plans, then flaked. She knew you liked her, so she kept you around, but only on her terms. And instead of walking away, you stayed. You thought, maybe if I just show her how much I care, she'll finally commit. But did she? No, because the moment a man becomes afraid to lose a woman is the moment she starts losing interest in him. The most powerful thing a man can do? Walk away. Most men don't realize this. They think the way to keep a woman is to hold on tighter, to prove their loyalty, to do whatever it takes to make things work. But that's not power. That's desperation. And desperation kills respect. Look around. How many men do you see trapped in relationships where they're not valued? Where they're constantly bending over backward, making excuses for bad behavior, tolerating disrespect, just because they're afraid of losing her? They think if they just try harder, things will change. But here's the truth. The moment you become afraid to lose her is the moment she starts losing interest in you. Because a high-value man, he doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he doesn't stay in situations that diminish him, he walks away. And the phrase that communicates this better than anything else? I walk away from what doesn't serve me. Now let's break this down. Why does this phrase work? First, it signals self-respect. Most guys operate from a place of neediness. They stay in toxic relationships. They tolerate bad behavior. They let a woman treat them however she wants because deep down, they think they can't do better. But when you say, I walk away from what doesn't serve me, you're making a statement. You will never put her above your own self-worth. And that is what earns real respect. Second, it triggers scarcity. People don't value what they think they can always have. If a woman knows that no matter what she does, you'll stay, she stops appreciating you. But if she realizes you have a line that cannot be crossed, if she senses that you're the kind of man who will leave rather than compromise his standards, she'll see you differently. Because suddenly, she knows she could lose you. And third, it forces her to step up. When a man keeps tolerating bad behavior, the woman has no reason to change. She can do whatever she wants, knowing he'll always be there. But when a man shows he's willing to walk away, that's when she starts questioning herself. Did I take him for granted? Did I push too far? And suddenly, she's the one putting in effort. Now, some guys hear this and think, so should I just leave at the first sign of trouble? No. This isn't about running away at the smallest issue. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to stay in situations that drain you, manipulate you, or make you question yourself. Here's when to use it. Whenever a woman tries to control, manipulate, or take advantage of you. Whenever she disrespects you and doesn't correct it. Whenever she starts pulling away and expects you to chase. And when you say it once. No explaining. No emotional outburst. No chasing after her to see if she understood what you meant. You say it, and if nothing changes, you leave. And here's the best part. When a man truly embraces this mindset, he stops fearing loss. He stops walking on eggshells. He stops playing the what-if game in his head. He simply knows that no matter what happens, he will never stay where he isn't valued. And that's when everything shifts. That's when women stop testing you and start respecting you. That's when they start feeling your presence in a different way. Because now you're a man who sets the standard, rather than a man who just hopes to be chosen. So next time you're in a situation that drains you, manipulates you, or makes you question your own worth, remember, you don't beg, you don't argue, you don't prove yourself, you walk away from what doesn't serve you. And when you do, that's when she realizes what she lost. That's when she sees your value, and that is when she finally respects you. Respect isn't about dominance, it's about self-worth. Too many men think they need to control a woman to earn her respect. They think they need to be aggressive, to prove something, to force their authority. But the truth is, real respect comes from within. It's not about overpowering anyone. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to accept anything less than what you deserve. The phrases you've learned today, they're not tricks. They're not lines to memorize and use just to manipulate an outcome. They are reflections of a mindset. A mindset of a man who stands firm, who knows his worth, and who refuses to compromise on it. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't just about how women see you, it's about how you see yourself. The more you respect yourself, the more the world will mirror that respect back to you. So now the question is, how will you start applying this? Will you start setting boundaries instead of tolerating disrespect? Will you stop chasing approval and start being unapologetically real? Will you let go of pointless arguments and focus on action? And most importantly, will you finally walk away from what doesn't serve you and step into the life of a man who commands respect rather than begs for it? Drop a comment below and let me know, which of these 4 phrases do you think is the most powerful? And which one are you going to start using today? And if this video helped shift your perspective, take a second to hit that like button. It helps spread this message to more men who need to hear it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Stoic Spirit and turn on notifications because we're dropping more game-changing content every single week. Thank you for watching. Keep your standards high, your presence strong, and your mindset unshakable. I'll see you in the next one.